And he's like, okay, that's no problem, but I just want you to know I see you as my son. I don't see you as my stepson.
It's a hard knock life, but stepping in as a step parent. This is Siu Lim hosting for you, and today I'm going to have somebody, yours truly, my man, Marc Lee.
Hey, how's it going?
Today's episode, we're actually talking about the family affairs of just, navigating through relationships, love, and basically being, a step. Congratulations, by the way, of being
thanks.
a new parent.
Oh, yeah. I wish I got a prize for it, but,
You do. You have my heart. But, okay, so I'm just going to dive right into it. This is Marc. Before, let me summarize for you. So this is actually I feel like I'm not the host for this. I feel like I'm also like this, speaker, because usually I let other people speak.
Okay.
But today I'm going to talk for you. I have 4 kids. One's 18, one's 16, one's 11, one's 10.
And then there's me, and I'm 38.
And then there's another 5th child. I want to say that dating again after having a divorce was not an easy thing, okay? Because obviously the next person that intakes me doesn't just intake me. They intake 4 other people. And I have this brave man here who stepped in, or stepped up, I would say. I don't know. It's kind of weird because I don't know what to ask you because I know everything already. But tell me, becoming a stepdad of 4 kids, how's that going?
Yeah, it's funny you ask because I still don't really count myself as a step parent. For anybody that's keeping up with current events, Sue's kids are based in Turkey. So I'm like a part-time step parent, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I'm a part-time mom. Yeah.
So
it is still hard, though.
It is hard, but I mean, I guess I always knew when dating you that there would be a time when all your kids would be visiting, or that we'd all be under one roof. And I guess that was a responsibility that I was just kind of, okay, when it happens, and it's one of those things where you never really know what's going to happen till you do it.
Yeah. So you can imagine being, I don't think you've ever imagined having 4 kids under one roof was hectic. For those who have maybe even 1 child under one roof, it's hectic.
Yeah.
Let me update you on Marc's background. Do you have kids?
No, I do not have any kids, but I also am divorced. So previous marriage, and also had a fiance, and then that didn't go as planned, and then I ended up here in Malaysia.
Yeah, but did you ever imagine yourself having 4 kids? Or one kid, to say that.
Yeah, I was about to say. I've never been... I'm the oldest in my family. So my youngest brother is 20 years old. So there's quite a big age difference. So my upbringing involved changing nappies for my other brothers and sisters. And through that process, I kind of knew that, geez, this is not that fun. Changing nappies, looking after the kids, looking after my brothers and sisters, it wasn't that fun. So from I would say mid-20s to late 20s, I kind of knew that I'm not wanting kids too fast. It's not something that I had a huge desire of having. And especially all the toddler stuff, it gets messy. It gets very messy.
So Marc is a neat freak. No, not neat freak. It's a good thing. I say it in a very good way. I mean, he mashallah, he does the laundry, and he does the dishes, and I don't ever actually have to complain about that. So when 4 kids came under one roof, I have to say I felt anxious for him, because he's gonna have, he had to learn what messy was really like.
Yeah, and I would say I'm also probably a pretty patient person. So when the kids first came over, just jumping back to my background.
Oh, sorry.
I'm also a product of a step parent. So my mum remarried when I was 3 years old. So I have no recollection of my biological father. And my stepfather, who I call my dad, has taught me everything I know. You know, like I actually refer to him as dad. He's taught me how to be the man that I am today. When the kids came to visit us and stayed with us for what was meant to be a month, and
they loved you so much that they want to stay.
Yeah, I don't know if that was the case, but they stayed longer. So 18 and 16, I just figured, you know, you just be a friend to them, be a role model. And with the younger ones, you can have a little bit more of a say to kind of shape how they think or how they act. So yeah, I just wanted to see how they were as people. So for me, that was just being a friend to them. I didn't really want to tell them off straight away or tell them how they should live their lives.
Right. You didn't want to act like the dad yet.
Yeah,
right?
I didn't want to act like the dad.
Did you ever feel like, okay, did you ever see yourself as, okay, I'm a visitor in this family? Or did you feel like, okay.
Yeah, it's funny how that works because it's my house. But yes, definitely. At that point in time, definitely felt like an outsider. And when that happens, even in my natural state, if I'm an outsider of a group, I tend to stand back and observe.
Yep, you're an
observer. Yeah, I'm an observer. So from observations, then I will not only position myself to how do I talk to this person, what's the best way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely felt like an outsider, but I think that's a natural feeling for anybody that is not on the inside, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and did you, being in that position, now you mentioned that sometimes the telling off bit, any step parent will tell you that that's actually pretty difficult because you don't know, you're kind of like, am I a parent right now or am I their friend? Because when they do something that might frustrate you or never say the less, like piss you off, I don't know what situation that would be.
No, I got lots.
Okay, tell.
No, like you said, I'm a neat person. So when things were left lying on the ground, then I'd come home. I think for me, I'm also a person that leads by action. So if they see me picking it up off the ground, then maybe they will be like, oh, that's probably what I should be doing. And you want to make it pretty obvious as well that you're picking it up. So you might ask, hey, whose t-shirt is this? And then, that's mine. So, okay, cool. I'm just going to pick it up and put it in your room.
Okay.
Yeah. Whether that works or not, I'm not too sure. But at least I'm leading by example.
Mm-hmm. Instead of coming in to yell at them, right?
Yes. Funny story about yelling at them. But I saw a different side of Sue. Because obviously I just know Sue as, you know, my partner. She's always bubbly. She's, you know, we have our sad times. You know, we might have a little disagreement about something, and then, you know, we would actually don't really raise our voices, but
no.
You know, we'd have sad moments.
Like we don't, mashallah, we don't really fight.
Yeah.
We don't raise our voices. We have conversations.
Yeah. But then when the kids came, it was like World War III. Oh man, I remember coming in one day, and I was like,
"Who's this person?
Whoa, what is happening in here?"
You know, to be fair, I warned you that I was a different person as a mom. As a mom, I'm very gung ho. I'm very like, you know, as a person with him, I'm very chill. I'm like, yeah, go with the flow. When my kids came in, I actually feared him seeing another side of me, just because I looked at myself like a monster, like a mommy monster, because I knew that in order to discipline these kids, there was going to have to be a lot of yelling and, you know, threats and whatever moms need to do to get things to happen. And for those who know, mothers have a hard time. Like, it's like when you say something, everything is ignored. But then I saw this happen with my eyes, is that when I tell them, hey, can you get the dinner set up? I'd have to say this like 20,000 times. Nothing would happen. The minute Marc walks in, I think he said it like once, everyone got up and did it. And that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, like that. I would say that was towards the end of the 3 months because I was still trying to figure out. So for the first month, there were things. Let's just take the untidy, like things were being untidy, and I figured it was just an adjustment period.
Right.
So I bit my tongue a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I told you this, right?
Right.
I was like, for the first month, I bit my tongue, and then you were telling me, oh yeah, they're actually extending their stay, and I was like, oh.
Got it.
No, just kidding. But like, I was like, oh, okay. And so after I found out that they were going to be longer than a month, I kind of thought, okay, now I can do a little bit of parenting.
Okay.
Yeah, because just partly because they're going to be in our environment. Maybe they can learn something in this process as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember that time I came home and all hell had broken loose with Sophia, and then she like locked herself in her room, and then you didn't want to talk to her, she didn't want to talk to you, no one wanted to talk to anybody.
It was like a teenage girl against the mom, and like we were just like butting heads, and it was awkward silence and everything. And go ahead.
Yeah, and then I thought, okay, well, let me just pop in there.
Time to parent.
Yeah, time to parent. And I guess the way that I would like to parent is more about talking in a calm voice and with reasoning. I do this with my coaches at work as well. So I do this with you. Yeah. So in a calm and reasonable manner. And I think that was the first time Sophia had ever felt heard. Because I asked for her opinion. It wasn't me just coming in and saying,
You were being her friend.
Yeah, being her friend.
But in your eyes, like kind of parenting too, But it was. Because I always say in these podcasts that when we have kids, we forget that at one point we just have to be their friend rather than their parent. And that's when it was good because he stepped in to be the parent friend. Yeah.
The parent friend. Yeah. The parent friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was kind of like my first bit of parenting, I'd say.
Mm-hmm. No, the 18-year-old. How did you? I mean, a lot of times that a step parent will step in, they find that the older kids are tough, especially the first one. My first one is 18. How did you find it with him? I mean, were you at all nervous about how you'd get along with the kids, and especially the first one?
Well, I wouldn't say I was nervous, but I did wonder how I would connect with Yusuf. Yusuf's the oldest at 18, because he is he loves crypto and he loves technology, and I'm not a huge techno geek. And also my previous career as a rugby player, so I'm like a jock, right? And as stereotypes tend to prevail, that jocks and techno people don't really get along. So I did wonder to myself how that was going to affect the household and also my relationship with him. I think he looked up to me for physical things.
Definitely.
Yep. So, he would ask me, how do you do this, that in the gym and stuff like that. I probably wasn't as curious as I could have been in regards to, how do you do this with, Bitcoin, or how do you do this with this app? But he's a very, very smart, bright kid, and I respect that a lot. So, yeah, the communication was just different.
Like, I know a lot of questions are going to be asked when I ask this, but do you ever feel like it's different being a stepdad versus being a biological,
Yeah, a biological dad. I mean, for sure, there's a huge difference because I've never been a dad,
right,
or a biological father to anybody. So I can only compare it to what I know, which is me growing up and my experiences, and then being a step parent. So look, honestly, with Adam and Asia, they're
little ones.
they're the two little ones. They're at a perfect age because you can shape how they think. You can shape what their habits.
Yeah.
Whereas Yusuf and Sophia, they already have habits built in. And so no matter what I say as a parent, there is a lot of breaking down barriers and then rebuilding. So, and that's just with anything. Like, I deal a lot with everyday people who need help with their diets. So I have to break down their current diet and then rebuild them up, which is very, very hard. Whereas with the younger ones, you start from scratch.
Right, and they were more like they're like sponges.
Yeah, they're like sponges. Yeah.
Yeah, and they kind of just shadowed you, especially Adam. Adam's 11, and he just shadowed him and took him to like a different level of fitness, I would say as well, right?
Yeah, Adam's he's so cool. He's so cool.
Like I mentioned before, I even the kids even, I mean, they met him before, but like met him as someone coming in as a step parent. I had to kind of brief them, and briefing them made them kind of like, okay, understand things a little bit more and how to respect you and all, not just like an enemy or anything. But I also wanted to know, you having a stepfather, did you ever ask your dad for advice? Did you ever think about, okay, I need to,
like, my stepdad?
Yeah.
Yeah, asking for advice all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, he's my dad, right? So I've asked him for, tons of advice.
Yeah.
My dad, stepdad, he's a very strict man. So there was a time when I wasn't allowed on the phone after, like, there's a curfew on the phones, 6, 7 o'clock at night. So I wasn't allowed on the phone. And then one time this girl that I was trying to date rang up after the curfew, and I don't know what was wrong with her, but she yelled down the phone and said, "Oh, you're not even his real dad."
Oh dear.
Yeah, you're not even his real dad, and you're putting all these rules in place.
Oh dear.
Right, so I'm like, I don't even know this conversation's happened. Right, and then my dad comes into
Because your dad picked up the phone, right?
Because my dad picked up the phone, yeah.
All right.
So my dad comes into my room and I was like, "Hey, I just got off the phone to your friend, and she said that I'm not your real dad, and that I'm your stepdad. How do you feel about that? Have you, like, do you go around telling people that I'm your stepdad or your dad?" He actually said this in a very calm way, by the way.
Like you?
Yeah, exactly like that. Exactly like that.
Okay.
I was just shocked, right? Because I didn't know this conversation had happened. So I was like, well, yeah, I just told her that you're my stepdad. And then he was like, "Oh, okay, that's no problem." Remember, he's raised me for 13 years, like 13, 14 years at this point. And he's like, "Okay, that's no problem, but I just want you to know I see you as my son."
Aww.
I don't... Yeah, he's like, "I see you as my son. I don't see you as my stepson."
Okay.
So, right at that point, I was just thinking, am I in trouble because this girl just went haywire on the phone? And it, isn't through till now, kind of like reflecting on it, that you're like, oh, that was quite a noble thing that he said.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, I can feel it, but I'm gonna ask anyways. Do you think he was hurt when?
Oh yeah, 100% hurt.
Yeah.
100% hurt. But he didn't show it or yell it. He didn't. Like I said, he didn't say, "I'm your dad. I've raised you for 13 years.
He didn't.
You should treat me with respect."
Right,
He didn't say that. And I remember that feeling as well, because I remember this is not like him. Usually it comes storming in or that, So I think maybe at that point in time it could be, maybe that's how I would like to parent. I don't know. I took a page out of his book, my dad, because there were moments when it was like me and your kids, we would be out, and I don't know, you'd be out somewhere else as well, but we weren't together. So it'd be me and the two boys, and then I'd see a friend, and then they're like, "Oh, who are these?" Like, Who are these people? Who are these miniature people? So I'd be like,
That kind of looked like him, actually.
who are these miniature people? And then I would just say, like, oh, they're my kids.
You would say it without hesitation. Like, you'd be like, oh, meet my kids. Oh, yeah, can you, my daughter's going to come.
Yeah.
You took our daughters to the dentist, and without hesitation, you're like, oh, can you check my daughter's teeth and stuff like that. I felt very touched, because it's weird, because I was so nervous at the very beginning about this whole, how is this all going to come in? But eventually, I don't know what happened. It just suddenly just all came naturally to everybody. We were all on the same page at one point, and it was just like, that's Dad. He's gonna listen to what he says. If he says wake up, I remember one thing that frustrated you was the fact that they all slept so late.
Man.
He's an early bird, just like me. And one thing about teenagers and kids at a certain age is that they will oversleep. They will sleep until, I think my son was sleeping till like 1.
Man, like 2, 3, man.
And this irked both of us, to be fair with you. This was driving us nuts, up the wall. And we would come home like, 3, 4? That's the end of our day. But nobody's woken up yet. And he's just like, what the heck? So at one point, he put like a whiteboard up. He actually bought a whiteboard, and he wrote down a schedule.
Yeah.
Like what time they should wake up, what not.
Yeah. So this is like a month after, right? And I was like, okay, look, I understand that school holidays, but there's got to be some form of structure in place. They have to have a timetable. So the way that I got, instead of me going in and saying, this is how stuff is done, we are going to stick to this, I got them to buy in. So going in and asking them, hey, if you were a parent, what time do you think you'd like your kids to be getting up? And they're, oh, well, reasonable time. We're on holiday, so reasonable time's like 11 o'clock. I'm like, okay, cool. So you think it's a reasonable time to get up at 11 o'clock? And they're like, yeah. Okay, you said it, not me. So that's 11 o'clock. And they're like, so what do you think you guys should do before you watch TV? Like, oh. And then, it's things like brush your teeth, get changed out of your pajamas, and have something to eat. Okay, you said it, not me. Right?
And you wrote it down.
And I wrote it down on a whiteboard. And then also, because I was staying up quite late, so I'd be like, okay, what do you think's a reasonable time for you guys to go to bed? And then, it was the younger ones at 10, the younger ones at 10 or 11, and then the older ones at 12. Fine. As long as there was some structure in place, then that's okay.
And he wrote it out on a board. Some days were good, some days were bad, I have to admit. Like, they did it, some days not. But at the end, they respected it, which was the most important thing, was that they respected the schedule and respected the house, like how it worked and everything. So that was fun times.
Yeah. So I think, like, because I'm a pretty calm person, this works on my...
It's really calm. Like, this whole podcast, I'm like, come on.
I can be quite expressionless. So the moment I do raise my voice a little bit, that's when everyone's like, oh, geez, he raised his voice. He must be...
Yeah. So that's when they know. But what advice would you give other parents or step-parent when coming into a family?
Oh, that's an easy one. Observe first and try to understand the child before setting out any boundaries or rules. And this also depends on the age, right? We were working with teenagers, and then we're working with, 9, 10-year-olds. So understand the crowd, understand your demographic, and go from there. But do observe first, because I don't think I've ever been in any type of relationship where when someone comes in really hot or aggressive, it's never worked out well. Yeah, and you can think about that from school teachers. You think about your favorite school teacher. Was your favorite school teacher the person that just yelled at you the whole time and you know, or was your favorite school teacher the one that asked you questions, got involved with your life, you know, was softly spoken?
Mm-hmm.
That's just my 2 cents.
There's no right and wrong, but I'm going to tell you, you did it right.
Thanks.
It's a hard knock life, but someone has to do it. Thank you so much for Marc for joining my podcast.
It's no problem.
And being such a supportive, you know, being so supportive. Okay, so that's about it. I hope you guys join us next time. See you soon.